here in Peterborough on Salaam Radio, the Empower Hour Show. So, once again, welcome to the Empower Hour Show with myself, your host Sukhi Wahiwala. And this evening, if you can see online on Facebook and on YouTube Live, you'll notice that we have another person here. His name is Gary Setterfield.
Hello, Sukhi. Nice to be here again.
Yes, it is. Gary is one of my co-trainers at one of our organisational companies called the Business Boardroom. And this evening, we're going to be talking about something completely different, aren't we, Gary?
We are.
We're going to be talking about stuff. No, not really. We're going to be talking about empowerment. We're going to sort of see how this works. So, this is your weekly empowerment show that brings you inspiring guests from around the world and all walks of life, sharing their wisdom and their strategies that are serving them to overcome their life's challenges, to enjoy the fruits and successes of happiness. So today, I just want to welcome ourselves this evening. What we're going to do is something fresh, something different. Hopefully, if it's liked by our viewers, our listeners across the globe, from all the way from Canada through to India, through to Australia, Africa's, America, UK, of course, and Central Eastern Europe. We're planning on doing a bit of a psychology installment every single month. The intention here is to help people in a live format once a month. My intention is to have 3 guests, as always. This is from September onwards, and if this goes down well, that is, Gary. You know, if people like it, people don't probably like it, but if they do,
no pressure then.
No pressure at all, none at all. But my intention is basically, if we can get ourselves in a situation where we help individuals, and we're going to talk about a particular topic today, which is unlocking yourself. That means your own inner psychological and emotional benefits and progress. We sometimes call this emotional intelligence. We can sometimes call this psychometric assessments and understanding. But we're going to amalgamate the conversation and have a little story with you. If you like this kind of a style of communication, having a bit of a free-flow talk, not just having a guest every single month, every single week, then please let us know. Hit us up here on Facebook Live and just give us some messages, or use the usual run. Our WhatsApp number directly on Salaam Radio is 07745 278 978, or you can call straight into the studio and on 01733 602 133. So let's get to it then, Gary.
Okay.
So we're in a world that is getting busier and busier. There's lots of information that comes our way. We've got to adjust it, we've got to understand it, we've got to relax around it. The question is, how does one actually engage themselves to a higher level? How can one actually turn around and make themselves easier and more in flow? Yeah, that's an empowerment game. This is the Empower Hour Show. Don't forget, do get involved. Don't forget to text us on 07745 278 or 978, or alternatively, comment on our Facebook Live transmission and also our YouTube Live transmission. Gary.
If we're going to empower ourselves, Sukhi, we need to understand ourselves. We need to understand who we are. We need to understand why we are acting and behaving the way we are.
Yep.
And once we know that, then we're able to move forward. Imagine you have a journey, a car journey.
Yeah.
Before you start off, you plug something into your sat-nav.
Yeah.
You plug in a location.
I get it, yeah. So you're putting
But what you don't do when you start is you don't put in your starting point. However, the machine itself knows where you're starting. But as people, do we actually know where we're starting from?
And who we are. So what you're saying, basically, Gary, is if you're involved with the sat-nav, if everybody can understand, if your listeners are listening tonight, that let's say you're in a situation where you're plotting in a destination.
Yep.
Yeah. So you pop in the destination and you're unaware that the machinery itself can't function to program that destination unless it has already identified where it is right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how does that connect with us as human beings? Let me give you an example. So in the format of unlocking oneself, I would say one of the key elements in unlocking myself is to know myself. So that kind of likens itself to what's just been said, where the satellite navigation plots its start point. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how does it work forward? We need to know ourselves, and in order for us to enjoy our life, to be present in life, to have fun, to connect with other human beings, to be useful to anybody else, and overall, for self-emotional understanding and success. Is that right?
That's the key. To be able to really understand yourself, to unlock yourself, to really understand who you are, you've got to have a starting point. You've got to understand why you act, behave, do, say. And once you understand that, you can then adapt your behaviours to mirror or match other people. And what we mean by mirror or match is, if you are of one type of psychometric, and there are 4, which we'll talk about shortly.
We're going to touch base on that in a second. Yeah.
You are all 4 of them. You're not just one. So we can be all of them, but we tend to favour one or the other. And once we know which one we favour, and once we know the language that we can use and the behaviours, we can then start thinking like other people. We can start reacting with other people in a much easier way, because we work with them. So a question I'd like to ask you, though, is, does it apply to everybody? Does everybody fall into this psychometric world that we're talking about?
Wow. So this is the deep question. So let's wrap this up a second. Let's put it together in a conversation. So you're saying, Gary, that an individual who may be listening tonight, who's having a challenge, who's held back a little bit themselves in life,
or just confused,
maybe not clear.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That there is a structure and a strategy, which I'm about to share with yourself, that a person can actually install and learn about themselves in a scientific approach, so that they know the ways that they act on certain things, that in a few simple steps that they can actually turn around and actually take charge of their life and actually re-engage their focus again.
Not only can they re-engage themselves, but they can help re-engage others.
Now that's powerful.
They can identify people coming to them. They can identify people around them, family members, partners.
Now that'd be powerful, wouldn't it?
Can
you imagine having a great relationship with every member in your family?
Absolutely.
If you're
including animals as well.
Yeah, that's powerful. And if anybody's listening doesn't know us first in the pre-sense, but Gary himself is actually an amazing father to 2 beautiful dogs as well. So he loves them very, very well, very much, as I am too. And so we can actually read the animals' psychology as well, because they tend to be in the space. So should we give some content now? So the principal understanding is that if anybody listening tonight is finding themselves in a situation where they feel slightly confused or disconnected from life as a whole.
That's nice, disconnected.
Yeah, disconnected. It's kind of like unplugged from the socket. Yeah. So that's a nice way of putting it, isn't it? It's like we expect to charge our mobile phones every single day, don't we?
Yeah.
We plug it in and we expect the phone to go full whack and we go, oh, that's great, I can last a day. But how often do we do something for ourselves? How often do we actually engage this kind of logic ourselves? Well, for the first half of this show this evening on the Empower Hour here with Gary Setfield and myself, Sukhi Wahiwala, we're going to talk to you about deep psychometrics and how human potential can be achieved, unlocking that potential by following some simple stage processes. So I'll cover. We will start with an understanding that what is a profile? A profile is something that is how we act and react. It isn't us, it's our makeup and our structure. Is that right?
Yeah. And to explain, as you're about to, that there are 2 types. There is your external and there's your internal. Now, the 2 can be different. There's your natural, there's your adapted. So the internal and external.
So which one's the natural again?
The natural is the internal.
The natural's the inside, isn't it, Gary?
Is the inside.
Okay. Sure.
And the external is how you turn up and you view or are viewed by others. So, for example, how often do people talk about they go to work with a suit of armour?
Yes, I understand that. Yes.
Yeah.
So they're different at work as they are at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
And
if
this
I was
is
feeling
why
that way.
and this is why people at work sometimes feel very, very uneasy, or they feel disconnected with who they are. And how often do we say, I'm different at home than I am at work?
So kind of like that coasting feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah? So we start a day and we end up at the end of the day trying to think, what have we achieved? And it's all been a bit of a blur.
Wouldn't it be fantastic if you can be in work as you are at home, have as much fun in work as you do with your family
Your social
at
life.
home?
Yeah, domestic and social life. Yeah.
Then is there a difference?
Exactly that. What a beautiful way of putting it, Gary. So the reality is that there is a sequence and there is a process, or a natural order, should I say, a scientific order. It's called the DISC element and the DISC assessment profiles. Now, DISC, if I can just cover for everybody here this evening, is the 4 different external and internal reference profiles.
Yep.
They're scientifically proven. This thing's over 2,000, this methodology is over 2,000 years old. It's an amalgamation of our Southern Asian understanding and North Asian understanding from the Chinese understanding as well. So it kind of came about in the mid 60s, when it was actually profiled and taken to the next level by all of the then psychologists of the time.
Yeah.
And it became the base understanding for things like Myers-Briggs and understanding of that sort of nature, where whichever psychometric you've done at work, this is kind of like the base of it. So if you look for each one of them, they come down from 16, 32, but they all equate down to 4.
4 basics.
And the 4 basic ones. So for this evening, what we're going to talk about is I'm going to give the framework of it, and then we'll talk about each one of these psychometrics in the first half of this evening. And hope you're enjoying. Please do connect. Hi, Jaspal Benning. Thank you very much for your lovely message there, just on Empower Hour on our Facebook site. So if you would like to get involved, if you'd ask some questions, maybe you have some challenges at work, at home, and how you could overcome it, or maybe you feel a bit disconnected. That's what we were talking about earlier on, and not feeling at your full potential yourself. Sometimes when life is amazing, everything seems to be amazing, right? Could that be just as simple as saying that I'm plugged back into myself in flow with myself? I love it. Yes. So please do keep in touch. It's 077. This is on the WhatsApp for Salaam Radio, 07745 278 978. Please do keep in touch. Okay, so I'm just going to look over there. We've got a few coming through right now. Okay, but doesn't matter. We'll check those in a moment. Okay. So Gary, a D character, a D profile, should I say, stands for a dominant character.
Yes.
An I character stands for?
Influencer.
An influencer character. And an S stands for?
Stability.
A stability character. And a profile, should I say. Okay. And a C stands for?
Conscientious.
A conscientious. And as you can see, there's a conscientious, there's a compliant, there's plenty of things, but we use conscientious because we've been doing this in the past, and we get a lot of ruffles in that sort of time frame when we call individuals compliant. So the reality is conscientious, people who are using the conscious side of their brain, right? So I'm going to go through each one of these again, and let's have a little conversation for everybody here.
Fantastic.
So with dominant characters, a dominant character is somebody who kind of contemplates life as a whole around their own needs only. They have a self-awareness of what they require in life. They like to see big picture.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they can always see the end result very clearly. Yeah. Others can be sitting around, can't they, Gary? Mm-hmm. We've seen this ourselves.
Yeah. I think the other thing about a dominant is they know what they want. Mm-hmm. They know how to get it. And in a lot of cases, it's very much a case of, I'm going, you're either with me or come along for the ride.
I like that. So if you're being subjected to somebody who says, look, this way or the highway, that's what we're talking about. We're talking to individuals who are saying it's this way or the highway, my way or the highway. Guess what?
They can be seen as quite abrupt at times.
Yes, abrupt, absolutely. And sometimes even rude to an extent, because they're saying, this bus is going over here. If you're on it, that's where it's going. We're not going to stop anywhere else. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, before we start any of these profiles, there's one pre-frame that I need everybody to understand here. There are listeners tonight from around the world and in the local Peterborough area as well, that not one of these profiles is better than the other.
Absolutely not.
They are all subjective to the same innards, but the most important part is that the moment you realize which one of these psychometrics you tend to scientifically prefer and connect to, then what happens is that we can then manage our pros and cons, or should I say our benefits and our challenges. Yeah.
And our frustrations as well. It's a much easier way of managing our frustrations if we understand ourselves.
That's a very, very good point there. Frustration, which is embedded and an outcome of us not knowing ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with each one of these, each one of these 4 profiles, the D, the I, the S, and the C, the dominant, influencer, stability, and conscientious, neither of these are better than the other.
We need all of them.
We need all of them, absolutely. And before we continue, just for everybody, this is live on air, and we've only got like 26 minutes to go through this process, every single one of us is all of them. The question here is, which one am I more of? Yeah. So when I'm talking about what Gary was talking about earlier on with the innards and the outside, so how I translate the world. So I could stand here, look at Gary, and I would see him in a particular way, or you would seeing me on the camera right now as you're looking at us. So I can see you, and you can see Gary there on that camera. So as you look at us, you actually have what we classify as a judgment on us, a quick choice of, is this person a nice person, or is he not? So the question on the inside is, as you see whatever you see, how do you adapt and understand this within yourself? It's like the algorithm inside of you. So if you think in big picture, you might not necessarily want to sit there with an Excel in front of you.
No.
You might want to see just a quick head-ups and off you go. You probably don't like to create the Excel or write the letters. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You're probably much more interested in actually just somebody else creating it for you, and then you have a quick read. But the upsides of being a dominant individual is the fact that you will see the end goal very quickly.
Far quicker than most people would.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great way of working. So it's like you see the end goal really quick, and as Gary was saying, far quicker than anybody else. But you're actually, if you're a dominant D, you get very determined very quickly that that's where I'm going, the end goal. So you'll spend a lot of your time and your life and your focus just absolutely driving like a tank towards that energy. Now, this is not male or female either. This is how we are on the inside. Yeah,
and they love to win. They love to be first. They love to win.
So if you find yourself under what we classify as a bit of a rhetorical question is something that doesn't need answering, just for reference, because I'm aware that a lot of listeners don't have English as their first language in Europe and Africa's. So a rhetorical question is when you've asked a question within yourself that you're not expecting to answer. It's just an internal clarity. So if you're a type of person who's finding themselves in a situation where you'd love to win, always? Yes, that's right. You guys who are trying to sneak out and say, yeah, it's not about me, I'm not interested, but everything's about you. It reminds me of a lovely book that was written by Ian Young, one of my great friends, one of my business partners in Sober Services. He wrote a book that's called It's Not About Me, and obviously it was all about him. Yeah, nice title. So in context of this, dominancies, they tend not to have a lot of things that hold them back.
No.
They get clear very quickly, and they somehow seem to work out how to get there. Is that right, Gary?
They want results.
Yeah.
And they want them quickly.
They want results, they want them quickly, and they have a big picture attitude. Yeah?
Absolutely.
And it's their way of the highway, right?
And children actually are a very good indicator of all these psychometrics, and you can see them quite clearly in youngsters.
That's a very powerful thing, because the children themselves, if you're liking this, the children themselves, they always show their natural stage, which is the inside, before the age of 7. And they'll always be the way they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So before we move on,
but one thing I want to add to that, we must never ever influence them or try and curb at the early stages.
Yes.
Whatever their natural abilities are or their natural profile, it will evolve. But it's important that you keep the children as they are and not try and change them.
That's a very, very powerful point. Because what happens is that later in life, if you do adjust them Gary just shared. So if you do adjust the child when they're younger, this is not about giving them discipline. That's not about that. Discipline is fine.
No, it's them being themselves.
That's right. Encouraging them.
Yeah. Do they like to help each other? Do they like to play with other people, or do they want to just sit by themselves? Do they want to always win at whatever game it is, whether it's playing cards with teddy bears or anything like that? Have you always got the natural footballer in the team? Is he always wanting to be the captain, even though he's not?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like they want to be the captain, may not have the skill, but they still want to be the captain. So you'll see children, but in our message here, basically, just to understand this, is to encourage any one of the children's traits. So whichever it is, they'll be amazing human beings if they know who they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the clarity. And even our own children, and I think your kids are too young at the moment, but 4 and 2.
4 and 2.
4 and 2.
4 and 3. 4 and 3 now.
Yeah, 4 and 3. Oh, my goodness me. And then myself, obviously, our children are a lot older, but things, even my younger 2 children, which are 14 and 11, both of them, even them, they understand psychometrics in a very, very flowy way. And that's because they've studied with us. Now, we go on to the dominant D. The dominant D basically is, just to clarify this, just so we can get this clear, because I want to make sure we get the information through. The dominant D is somebody who's always end goal. And they make very good leaders, natural leaders. That doesn't mean they become very palatable by everybody. You'll find that these are the guys who tend to cause you a lot of stress. But they, if you're thinking about this, you, that's right, it is probably you. It's about being aware. In the second half of this show, we're going to talk about circumstance and usage and application of understanding who you are. And we'll go much more in depth in each one of the psychometrics. I hope you're enjoying the show today. Please do hit us up and let us know that you are enjoying. It's the Salaam Radio Empower Hour show with myself, Sukhi Wahiwala, and our lead SynaGus Methodology World Global Trainer, Gary Setfield.
Evening.
So, with the dominant character, they are great leaders, right? They push, they tend to be very good managing directors. Yeah. So, what about the I? Give me some traits. The I is the influencer.
Is the influencer. They love fun. They love variety. They love shiny things.
Shiny? By the way, we're having a laugh and a giggle here because Gary Setfield is an I himself. He has a very natural high I state.
They love variety. They get very bored very quickly. And they are appalling at being able to complete things. They love starting new things. They love starting new projects, new jobs.
Yeah, so variety, freedom.
They hate being restrained. They don't like being restrained.
Don't they just? Yes. So Gary, if anybody knows us, knows him very personally, he's a very high I. He has a very high I trait in his natural state. So they're very convivial, very fun, very orientated around meeting and greeting. Yeah, love people. And they love to be loved. It's a real deep secret. They love to be loved. They like to be popular. They usually are what we classify as the heart of the party. You know, they're the
life and soul.
Life and soul of the party, as we say it. Yeah.
Always number one on the dance floor.
Yeah, so and very popular as well. So if you number one on the dance floor, says a world champion, as we already know. So if you're finding yourself and you're listening, you're thinking, that sounds a bit like me, Sukhi. Well, that probably because it is, you know. Yeah. And yes, you will be the one who needs to be more popular than everybody else and communication. One of your fun traits actually is, though, that you are great salespeople, but you don't necessarily finish. So you're lovely starters, but not necessarily finishers. I can't believe how fast the time is running.
No, I was going to say, yeah.
So, well, don't worry, we will cover the other two if we need to at the end. It's not really a problem. We've got plenty of time in the second half. Don't forget, we're going to stop at 26 minutes past 7 this evening, and we'll be back after 4 minutes worth of advertising at exactly 7:30. Still got a few minutes left. So, an I is an individual who's truly inspiring to other people. They're very much like a Pied Piper, is that correct? So they communicate and they connect all the time. You know, they're not necessarily, they'd like to see themselves as the lead, but they're not necessarily the best person to lead. No. Because they'll try to look for what we call the shiny things, as we were talking about just a moment ago, as Gary was talking about it.
They're also great connectors. They love bringing people together. They love being the conduit, enabling others to do anything. And I suppose the biggest people are those who bring people together for a common goal, for a common idea. They pull everybody into their way of thinking. They don't force them. Yeah. It's a natural come with me, come and see how this all works.
Yeah, so very, very what we call infectious.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you're finding yourself thinking about you're either the fun person, likes to do sports much, you run around and you're laughing and joking a lot, then yes, the I is probably your natural state. So you're all four, don't forget. And just after the break, we're going to start talking about the S, which is stability, and also the C, which is conscientiousness. Everyone is equal to each other. What we should do is our empowerment will come from understanding which one is our most highest character in our natural state, our inside state. That basically will give us the unlock freedom.
Absolutely.
So if you ever find yourself in a tired situation at work, you're tired of work, you're lethargic, you're really, really hunched over, that we will give you the secret in another 4 minutes. Come and see us back. It's Empower. See you very shortly.
See you soon. Bye.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
कोई रत्तियां कमीज़ानी लमाना मारे मामा मिठियां में चीज़ानी।
मेरा नाम मुकद्दस है और कोर्ट मेरा घर है और ये मेरे लिए किसी जन्नत से कम नहीं। हमारे भी कुछ ख्वाब हैं जिनकी ताबीर को हमें पाना है।
आइए इन बच्चों के ताबनाक मुस्तकबिल के लिए अपना हिस्सा डालिए। अपनी ज़कात, सदकात, खैरात और इमदाद कोर्ट को दीजिए।
UK number 0300 123 7774. Website court.org.uk.
Peterborough just got a whole lot tastier. Five Lads Flame Grilled Peri Peri Chicken is now open. Bring your family and friends to Peterborough's first HMC meat selling restaurant. We are experts in grilled chicken, lamb chops and gourmet lamb and beef burgers. Our healthy options include fresh salads and fresh grilled vegetables. Fresh, clean and healthy grilled food with 4 different flavours: lemon and herb, medium, hot and extra hot. 5-star hygiene rating. Eat in, order and collect, or order for delivery on Deliveroo. Follow 5 Lads Peterborough on Facebook and Instagram 5 Lads. 15 Cowgate, Peterborough, PE1 1LZ. Call 01733 56 22 87. Open 7 days a week, 12 to 11 p.m.
Almarad Tiles. With over 70 stores nationwide, we are now open in Peterborough. Up to 50% discount offers now on. Largest selection of tiles. Full bathroom suites from only £189. Paint, LED lighting, laminate flooring from only £7.99. Over 1,000 designs of wallpaper in stock. We have everything you need. Come and visit us at 193 Fengate, Peterborough, PE1 5BH. Or call us on 01733 34 58 47. Almarad Tiles, now open.
Had a car accident or an accident at work? Accident specialists are experts in no-win, no-fee accident claims. Leave the hassle to us. Our multilingual settlement experts will manage the entire claims process on your behalf, with nothing to pay up front. We provide services such as credit hire, taxi vehicles, recovery, storage and much more. For full details on our range of services and a free consultation, call us on 01733 555 774 or visit our office at 249 Lincoln Road opposite the NatWest Bank. Accident specialists. Start your successful claim today.
Insure 24/7 is a community-based insurance brokerage offering competitive premiums and a great service. Taxis, properties and businesses, we cover them all. Call us on 01733 856699 or visit our new office at 304 Lincoln Road. Insure 24/7. We've got you covered. Insure 24/7 is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
A man came to the prophet, peace be upon him, and asked, one fights for booty, one for the sake of reputation, and one to show off his bravery. Which of them is fighting for God's cause? The prophet, peace be upon him, said, only the one who fights so that God's guidance may prevail fights in God's cause.
Narrated by Abu Musa in the collections of Bukhari and Muslim.
Broadcasting 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is Salaam Radio.
Good evening and welcome back this evening on Salaam Radio on your Empower Hours show with myself, your host Sukhi Wahiwala, and our guest host this evening, Gary Setterfield.
Evening all. Hello.
Hello. Okay, so...
Well, before the break, we were talking about the D profile, the person that loves to be first, the person that loves to win, has the big ideas, has the big pictures. Not necessarily the favourite person in the group, but they are leaders. Then we have the influencers, the people that naturally bring people on board, love to be in among the party, are the life and soul of the party.
Yeah.
Love variety and love fun. The word fun really resonates with them. So what about those of you out there at the moment thinking, well, neither of those two are me. I love being in myself. I love to be quiet. I love to be in the back of the room, not in the front. We're now about to help you. We're going to talk about the S, the stability, and the C, the conscientious. So, Sukhi, stability.
Okay, so the first two, which is the D and the I, are what we classify as extroverted energies.
Lovely.
This means they love to recharge themselves out in the public arena with other people. So they need humans to recharge their own thoughts and processes, get clear, throw ideas back and forth, and in essence, be fun in that scenario. Yeah. Then we have the introverted energies, which are the stability and the conscientious. So a stability soul is somebody who's very heart-centered, who gains a lot from being quite stable, and in the sense of
very much
rooms, power zones and comfort zones. Comfort zones that serve them, not comfort zones that hold them back. They served within these environments. They don't necessarily, this psychometric, if you're finding yourself this, you'll find that you don't necessarily want to be the one who's outspoken, stands up on the stage communicating with everybody, or always has to have a view of everything. You'll find that you're finding yourself a bit softer on the inside. You're much more of the caring energy.
Much prefer supporting others, helping others be in a position of power, helping others achieve. We'll always be there picking up the bags, bringing up the rear as it were, but they are such a strong individual.
That's right. So this is the key. Gary just touched it there. Basically, if everyone's listening and thinks, majority of the other three tend to classify as the S stability energy as the weakest one, the supporting energy. But the reality is that actually we find in our research through the SynaGus Method, that's a methodology that I've written over the years, and Gary's now one of our lead global trainers. We found that actually the S stability energy is probably one of the strongest. And most resilient. Yeah.
Because they pull people together. They hold the ship. Particularly, if you think of companies, the human resource department, HR department, is key to any business surviving, because they control and help the staff within the group. Because without the staff, there is no business.
Wow, what a lovely point there, Gary. Yeah, without the staff, there is no business. It goes on to understanding that would it be correct to say that an S, because you have a very high IS stability, inspiring stability, as your natural psychometric, what would you suggest that is another strength of an S? Would it be the resilience, the fact that they can kind of take a lot of challenge?
The S will overcome most things. They will take it on board. They'll take it to heart.
Yes,
a lot of it will be taken to heart. So it's important, if you are an S, that you understand this, so that you don't take it to so much to heart that it starts having a detrimental effect. The key, though, is that you are there to support others. You will help everybody else. For example, in a fire, the D will get everybody out immediately. The I will just see what everybody else is doing and then follow suit.
That's right.
The S, however, will be the one that will go back into the fire to make sure that the last person is out.
That's right.
If somebody's left their bag or their laptop, when we're told not to leave our laptops to leave our laptops, they'll always go back and collect the laptop for someone
and put themselves
at rest.
Sometimes, yes.
They will always stand there with their jacket open, burning on the back.
Yes.
To save others.
Bless them. So, if you are seeing yourself as the person who doesn't necessarily like to see the externalization of themselves, me, and you'd much rather be the supporter, don't take that as a weakness. That's actually
Absolutely
a very,
not.
very strong energy.
Absolutely not.
Going on to our fourth energy, which is the compliancy energy and the conscientiousness.
Is
it an easy way, considering you may be accidentally, on purpose, be married to one, live on air? Yeah. Tanya,
I would like to say
we're not talking about you, Tanya, in any way, just in case you were listening. A conscientious thinker, somebody who spends a lot of time thinking about what they're doing.
Invaluable.
Thinking about the steps, the processes, the strategy before they even continue to take any action at all. So they're very planned, very orderly,
very structured,
and they're usually the ones who have the very clear, clean desks. So if we were to describe all four areas or four energies in a desk, it would be something like this. If you have a school desk, if the kids are listening, and if you have a
think about your own desk at home, folks. Or even the kitchen,
bedroom, office, work environment, shed, whatever it is. Let's walk through them. If we went for a D dominant, let's talk about how that will be. Now, a D dominant won't necessarily have the office in an orderly state.
Oh no, but they know where everything is.
But the key, what Gary just said there, is they know exactly where everything is. A D dominant, if you ask for a document from them, they'll say, there's a pile on the left, there's a pile in the middle, there's a pile on the right. Can you pick up the pile on the right? It's the 11th page underneath. That's the document you want. So it looks like a complete mess, but they know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And what about an I then?
We'll gloss over the I. Let's go to the S.
No, Gary, I'm afraid we can't let that one go. I do apologise. Yeah. Just remember that, Mike. So, in context of this, let's put this in context. If the I energy, they're the ones with the messy desk, full stop. But if you ask them where it is, they would say, it's
over there somewhere.
It's over here. Hang on, let me have a look. And they'll make a further mess by trying to find it.
Yes.
So if you're finding yourself that kind of person and can't always remember exactly where everything is, you'll probably have a natural I in tendency. So now let's the S energy, the stability energy.
Mm-hmm.
A stability energy's desk would be quite neat, quite tidy, if it's relevant to somebody else. Otherwise, their own section of the desk or their own drawers will maybe be a bit messy, right?
Only because they're putting everybody else first. They always put themselves last.
Now we're talking. So what do you mean by that, Gary, when the person puts somebody else first?
They will always think about how is somebody else feeling? How is somebody else reacting? Have I done something for someone else? Mm-hmm. They'll always put their own affairs last or behind.
So the classification sometimes is to find that others could be slightly more deemed as a little bit more important than them in their own thinking. Yes. Which is not
serving. I think is better. It's a better word. They don't necessarily say that they're putting others. It's about serving others and wanting to support and help others.
I like it. So the kind of thing that you do for me when I'm speaking on stage.
It could be.
Yeah, through the business boardroom or the programs that we run. The Inspired Business Club. So when I speak on stage, I'll be sitting there talking, and then Gary will run over, and without me knowing, he'll pop a glass of water there or something on there to keep myself hydrated. But I won't be asking him for it. So this is the kind of the natural love that comes out of it.
They're very much aware of the surroundings. They're very much aware of what's going on around them. They're very much aware of, if they're in a room, they're seeing everything and being aware of everything.
Would you say that they got the finger on the pulse?
Pretty much.
So that's
pretty much
pretty strong S
Whether
energy.
or not they act on it, different thing.
Yeah.
But they definitely are aware of things.
Wonderful. Now, we didn't speak much about the compliant C, did we? So,
Let's go into detail.
There we are. First thing that Gary just said there is about detail. So if you're a detailed, orientated individual, somebody who likes to be very, very focused, very, very driven around task management and getting things done, your desk is going to be ultra clean and tidy. So these are the telltales. So just to repeat ourselves, the C, compliancy, will have an ultra clear and tidy, orderly desk. The S will have a half orderly desk on top and their own drawers, which could be messy, because of their own needs, and they put them as secondary. As long as your section where you require and come in and have a look at will be clean and tidy, they're happy. With the I energy, the desk is a complete mess, and they don't necessarily know where everything is at all. They'll probably make a bigger mess trying to find it. And then we have the D dominant, who looks like a very messy desk, but they'll tell you straight away, I know exactly where everything is, don't touch it. So there we are.
And the C, if you notice the C, when you're sitting at a dinner table, and they're always sitting there, and they're putting their knives and forks straight. The mat has to be definitely in line with the edge of the table.
That's a nice way of seeing it, yes. A nice little trick there. They'll make sure everything is dead straight as they're sitting there. The knives and the forks and the table and the glass, etc. So if you're seeing this is wonderful. So what's the power and the point of all this? Because the real conversation we're having today, Gary, is about psychometrics of our internal self, to be able to see how we are as a human traded individual. But also, how is this going to serve us going forward? Because we spoke about unlocking potential. And then we started the conversation in the first half. If you haven't heard it, please do rewind and listen again. And we were talking specifically about the sat-nav as an example, right? So as an analogy in essence. And the sat-nav always has a secret action, and the action is to always plot where you are now so that you can put in where you want to be. Yeah. So that's done in what we classify as a hidden agenda. It's always putting the plot in first of where you are right now. So in life, how powerful is it for you to know which one of these four, in which order each one of these four is, and how much of it is you, in order for you to turn around and take action in a positive way?
Well, I was talking to someone this morning, and we were talking about their role within their company.
Yeah.
And they, having through conversation, they're very aware now of they're very much one profile as opposed to another. And it's important they know that, because they're doing a lot of paperwork and it's not their natural process. So the idea is to help them understand that, for them to be able to articulate that to the bosses and the other members of the group, so that they can say, look, can we find somebody who's better at doing that than I am? Because I'm far better at doing X, Y, and Z.
Wow. So now I love this, Gary. So this is somebody you've had a phone call with today. Obviously, it's an anonymous conversation.
I'm not going to say who they are.
Because you're a coach as well, right? So you coach with the SynaGus Method. Yeah. So the conversation you're saying is that an individual who's talking to you was spending more time doing what we classify as compliant actions, organizing, structuralizing, Excels, writing, doing mathematical equations.
Paperwork.
Filing. And you found that their natural understanding was a bit more orientated to be an extroverted energy, so that they were actually different. So if anybody out there is feeling as though they're in the wrong job because they're not feeling as though they can actually be their full potential there, this is the kind of assessment that they should be getting done, right?
Well, for example, in the bank, which is where my background is, 26 and a half years I was in banking, till I found a balaclava and escaped.
Till you found a balaclava and ran away.
That is very much a structured environment. Now, as a high I, we don't necessarily conform to structure, which is why a lot of the times I used to inadvertently circumnavigate the procedures initially, and I would go and talk to someone rather than filling out an email to go up, down, across, when I could see the person across the desk, and I'd just go and talk to them, say, look, I want this done, how can we get it done? Well, you have to fill in X, Y, Z. Okay, fine. If I do that, can you go, leave it with me, I'll start working on it now, but can you just fill in the process?
How powerful is that? That means basically you didn't want to break the system.
Absolutely not.
But
because
your natural profile didn't necessarily fit that methodology of sending the email, waiting for them to receive it, waiting for them to open, when you could physically see them across the counter, across the hall in the office, yes? Absolutely. I like that. So you innovated beyond that. So that's the kind of things that, by knowing yourself, that one would do, right? And obviously you've learned a lot of this stuff in hindsight.
Yeah, and what I've found and I've now realised is that I would then work with the other person inadvertently, not knowing this at the time. They were a compliant individual, so they had to work by process. However, my psychometric was about, I want to talk to you. I don't want to...
In face?
I want to talk to you by face, because I can react better with you. But also seeing their viewpoint, you have a role, it has to be filled in, it has to be compliant. Therefore, what do I need to do in order for you to start doing this now, rather than waiting 10 days to answer the email.
So, in context of this, remembering that not everyone and not any one of them is better than the other.
Absolutely.
You adapted yourself inadvertently to get the project done and get the action done. Okay.
And they did as well. Yes. Because they talked when they wouldn't necessarily do that.
Preferred an email.
Absolutely.
I like it. So our natural way is how we are on the inside. An adapted and adopted way is how we act in the moment. So in that moment, how long does it take for that moment to actually change, Gary? You know, how often does your profile change? Is it instant or is it constant in the adapted profile?
In your adapted, you can adapt as quickly as you need to.
Yeah, so it's principally
it's like working with your sat nav and suddenly having a detour. It will recalculate the route
immediately.
I
love it. That's a great analogy. So, if you're facing a scenario where you've got to assert your authority, you would
absolutely, and your dominant will come out, your compliant will come out. Your stability or your influence will come out regardless of the situation. Whatever the situation is, it will adapt and you will adapt, but you have a more comfortable zone that you prefer working in. Now, this is great when we're out because out and about, you can identify others. So, for example, when I'm out on dog walks with the boys, you can be talking to people and you can suddenly realise that, this person is talking a lot about sequences, about, I must do this, followed by that, followed by that, followed by processes. So you can think, okay, so this is possibly a compliant person.
I like it. So just to wrap this for everybody else as well to understand that, basically in the mornings when you go out with the dogs or in the evenings, you meet other dog owners as well.
Absolutely.
So it's just speaking to them and you can now see them and start to work out what psychometric they are. Is that right?
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing about it is, because it's so early in the morning, they probably haven't been affected by emails, they haven't been affected by phone calls, they haven't been affected by their environment, so they're naturally showing. So they're far more relaxed, they're far more talkative.
I like it.
And you can just be with them and talk to them. And if you are aware of your own psychometric and how that relates to their psychometric, you can have some fantastic conversations.
And inspiring them to move forward as well.
Absolutely.
So, just to keep an eye on our schedule, I can't believe how fast the time is disappearing.
Good,
I hope you're enjoying it. Yes, I hope you're enjoying it, audience, and I hope everybody, the listeners, are really, really getting onto this. Oh, Am got her. Thank you very much. It's like a magical gift. Yes, absolutely. Am is one of our senior trained individuals, is that right? Within the DISC Psychometric by SynaGus Method.
Hi, Am.
And so I can remember a conversation that she had when she did the very first assessment and the day training with ourselves, the intensive day training with the Inspired University, I do apologize. www.inspireduniversity.club. Yeah. So just to clarify, .club. If she found her own assessment, her own psychology, if I remember rightly, and then I can remember it was a bit like that Limitless moment in the movie, Limitless, where she was driving down the road and she was in the back of a taxi and she saw the same street, but she saw so many more elements of the street, signs, and the opening of the brain became so much more powerful.
Yeah.
And one thing that we have noticed over the years is that every single person who's doing the assessment, who understands themselves in a better way, that they go on to live a more of an enriched, unlocked life because they can now adapt to anybody without feeling uncomfortable about themselves.
But it's important, one thing I would like to add just here, when you are aware of your own psychometric, whether you're a D, an I, an S or a C, if you are in an environment where you have to adapt every day and be someone else, it's critical that you return for at least an hour or two every day and within a 24-hour period, and you do something that is your natural style.
And we're going to talk about this in a moment.
Yeah. So, for example, if you're an S, you love to maybe read, you love books, you love to be on your own.
Let's just pause for a second. So, if anybody listening is actually having a challenge, remembering to clarify that thing. So, just to clarify, where if a person's having a challenge where they're feeling a little bit tired, exhausted, distracted, in their daily work who's listening tonight, I'd love you to actually just hear this next section that we're going to cover through. And I can't believe how fast we're going. We've only got 6 minutes left. And I hope you're enjoying it. It's a new style just for this weekend, just for the last week of every month. If this is received well in this kind of discussion, you might, Gary and myself, opening ourselves to open questions and seeing how we can empower the next generation of leaders and business people. So if you're finding yourself in a situation where you're trying and you're finding it really hard to stay concentrated, to actually focus yourself, to take action, you get very what we call procrastination in your mind, and you're thinking about things but then focusing on other things and just wondering, daydreaming, that kind of thing, and actually not wanting to go to work. Now, I do not mean that you do not go to work, you do not want to go to work, or you're missing an element at work and you're thinking, I'm not being challenged enough. Then this next section is going to be super powerful for yourself. After doing the self-assessment, which takes about 20 minutes to 30 minutes, and it's just a sequence of questions that answer, all you've got to do is answer the most like you or the least like you. So it could be something like, in a situation where there's any kind of confrontation, which is most like you and least like you. So most like you, there may be 4 answers for the most like you select one and drag it over, and you'll say which is least like you. There'll be 4 answers and you drag one and drag it over. These are the simple questions that happens about 30 minutes, and I'm not joking. If anyone's listening, when you get that response, when you get that assessment back, it's as though somebody's been on your shoulder all your life, and it's so accurate. It's pure science of the psychometric order. Something that I've spent many 20-odd years researching and focusing on as well. It's the key to unlocking other people's potential, unlocking your own potential, connecting with people in deep rapport. It's the key to sales in an honorable way, selling without pushy sales. It's the key to becoming super productive within your own life, getting stuff done on your own terms as opposed to somebody else's terms, but also getting stuff done quicker. So if you're having a challenge, going back to the final question that we're going to be answering today, somebody pushed in over on my text, is somebody's, I can't mention the name, I do apologize, but an individual's just texted me and said that they're having a challenge with energizing themselves in the morning, and they find that they don't want to continue the rest of the day. So there's a question to yourself. How would we resolve this? This is kind of where Gary was going. We were talking about it in the break. If you find that you are an individual who's disconnected with your daily work, not feeling so empowered by it, it's imperative for you to know your natural psychometric, your DISC. This is all of them. You're all and every one of them. But what you need to understand is which one you are more like and in which sequence. Is that right? Please take the time out to go on to www.inspiredbusiness.club. That's CLUB, and do the assessment. It's called the DISC assessment, and do the self-assessment. Once you've completed that self-assessment, you will have the answers in the report that will have never been in front of you before. The purpose of this conversation and the outcome is that how can you empower and engage yourself in an instant? How can you have longevity of mindset and focus and energy? Is that right?
Yeah.
So Gary's going to go through a few things with us now, as we're going to talk openly. We're both going to discuss about if you feel that you're a D dominant, an I, an S, or a C, what action could you do every single day? Because the secret is to do something that matches your natural profile every single day. And the moment you do that, you will feel no urge, no feeling of what we classify as called the Zeigarnik effect, or in this modern day, and I'm going to really cool here if you can hear me, it's called FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. You'll have less and less of that energy coming in and being part of your mental state. So a question to yourself, Gary, if I was a dominant D, how would I engage myself to consistently, we've only got 2 minutes left, to consistently deliver at the best of my ability?
Get back to your plans. Look at planning. Look at your figures. Look at am I achieving what I set out to do?
Goals.
Am I achieving my goals?
Ah, okay. So if you're a D dominant, looking for your plan at the end goal, what the outcome was, what the goals were, to be able to achieve them.
Am I still on track? Yeah.
And that's the key, right?
Yeah.
Am I still on track? Because if you're not on track, If you're not on track, the D dominant will just get disassociated with all and go and start something else. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So if I did something like checking in once a day, would my energy levels remain high if I was a dominant D?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then on the I level, what would I do if I was an I?
It's all about being with people, being out with friends, being out with people, being in an environment, even if it's as much as just going to a coffee shop, sitting in a coffee shop, having a coffee, but seeing people around, engaging with people, talking on the phone.
Talking on the phone, connecting with them, yes.
Absolutely.
So having fun with them. Now, quickly for an S, we've got 60 seconds left.
Right, for S, it's about keeping stability. It's about knowing where you are. Knowing you are, where are my figures? Where are my accounts? Where are my figures? Am I
caring for people in your life
and looking for yourself, looking after people?
Yeah. So doing something without expecting something back, in a care, and actually taking some time out, maybe reading a book for your own self. But you must do this on a daily basis. This way, your energy stays high and focused.
And
so what about for
completing?
Clients? Yeah.
Making sure they complete, making sure they write everything down, that it's all listed, and they know where they've been.
Task lists.
Tasks.
So doing the tasks,
ticking them
off every single day. I can't believe how fast the Empower Hour this evening has been. I hope this has been helpful. It's been myself, Sukhi Wahiwala, and Gary Setterfield. We've been speaking about thank you very much, Gary. We've been talking about our internal psychometrics and ensuring that the Empower Hour shows you how you can overcome these energy blocks. See you next week. God bless. All the best.
Bye, folks. Bye-bye.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
Here at Children of Adam, we